The USMCA, which substituted the NAFTA, is a three bilateral agreements between USA, Mexico, and Canada for the benefit of workers, farmers, and businesses. According to USMCA, its main objective is to create more balanced and reciprocal trade, which supports high-paying jobs in America, which eventually helps in economic growth. For the presentation, we will be outlining the key factors that should influence your decision to invest in USMCA and its member countries. We will begin with an overview of USMCA and then we will discuss the member countries individually to provide insights into the benefit of being part of world's biggest trading bloc. We have chosen to do both SWOT and PEST analysis throughout our presentation, and we will start by explaining our reasoning doing so. To analyze the US and Mexico, we have chosen to do SWOT analysis because it helps us in determining the areas in which the countries are performing well and discover where the competitive advantage lies. SWOT analysis is a strategic tool used to assess the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of any organization or, let's say, a country, which helps in improvement and also in assessing opportunities. It also helps in strategic planning and identification of key objectives. SWOT analysis is traditionally unable to identify the factors influencing one factor over another. However, we want to overcome this weakness by ensuring the impact on relationships between different sectors. When looking in Canada, we have chosen to use pest analysis. This is because we believe that doing so will provide a more thorough exploration of opportunities for the investment within the country, as well as showing the way it has benefited by being part of USMCA. During a pest analysis will allow us to develop a broad understanding of the factors that affect each country. This will include showing the potential benefits and determinants invested in each country, as well as showing how to maximize opportunities and minimize threats for the investors. For these reasons, a pest analysis is therefore beneficial in producing an investment pitch, as it should encompass all areas of business planning, design, and an excellent basis on which to make decisions. With our SWOT and pest analysis, we are aiming to provide the investors information to allow them to make the best decisions for their businesses. We believe that this would include embracing investment opportunities within USMCA and countries involved. SWOT analysis of US. Strength. The US offers the largest consumer market on the earth with a GDP of 25 trillion, having population of almost 325 million people. Household spending is the highest in the world, almost having one third of global household consumption. At the same time, free trade agreement with 20 countries which provide enhanced access to hundreds of millions of additional consumers. US is also considered as an export platform. The US affiliates of foreign companies alone export US $370 billion worth of goods. This lucrative market is powerful growth for companies of all sizes, which is backed by the regulatory environment. US business culture encourages free enterprises and competition. As a stable democracy with a transparent and predictable legal system, it means that all companies, regardless of national origin, compete on an even playing field. This means that foreign investors receive non discriminatory treatment in almost all sectors and compete on an even playing field in the US. The nation's land area comprises of 2.3 billion acres, nearly half of which is agricultural land. As a global leader in agriculture innovation, the US is the world's largest producer and exporter of food, offering a wide range of opportunities for food and processing agribusinesses. Weaknesses. Despite the US ability to withstand economic challenges, the US economy developed many prominent drawbacks. First, the primary problem that requires careful and urgent attention is rapidly increasing public and domestic debts. In 2022, the public debts of US amounted to 30.85 trillion. The increasing unemployment rate, which is partly produced by the quarantine measures against coronavirus, also raises alert among American citizens and officials, but it have edged down to 3.5% as they are trying to overcome it as well. In addition, US remains an import dependent state since its trade deficit is 1.38 trillion in 2022. Opportunities. It is worth noting that a robust and reliable political environment promotes business recovery and helps to avoid the drop of foreign and domestic investments. The leading economic position links the US with European and developing countries, which serves as stimuli for the further development of international scientific, cultural, and economic corporations. Finally, most of the population is still above of the line of poverty, which promotes sufficient citizens purchasing power and money turnover. Threats. There's a cost of being on the top of the world that USA has got many competitors in different fields. For instance, China a trade competitor, Russia a political competitor, China, Japan, Singapore are tech competitor. They are pushing the boundaries to be on the top, and it has to work hard consistently to maintain its dominating position in the world. Overall, this shows that USA has extensive strength and provides many opportunities to its investors, and even the threats and weaknesses can be overcome if dealt technically. We will now shift our focus and look towards Canada using pest analysis. That's analysis of Canada. Political factors. Political factors play a significant role in determining the factors that can impact investment decision. Canada is considered as highly stabilized country as the administration has been in power for so many years and there has not been frequent changes in the laws that can have severe impact on the businesses. Further, the industries can benefit in Canada from the fact that Canada has free trade agreement with under USMA with its neighbor countries. The Canadian government has now removed any duties from order below $150. This can help the companies that would sell their products directly to customers. For example, through e-commerce, the elimination of duties would mean no additional increase in the expenditure. In addition, the Alberta government has approved a reduction in the corporate tax rate from 12 to 8%. Moreover, the Canadian government offers a rebate over to the people of almost $5,000 on the purchase of electrical vehicles. This can be positive news for the automotive companies as their sales would rise because of the more affordability amongst the customers as a result of incentives. The banking and life insurance companies would have to face difficulties as the government has launched a temporary Canada Recovery Dividend in which the banking and life insurance companies would be mandatorily required to pay a one-time 15% tax on income above 1 billion. And also the corporate income tax rate has been raised by 1.5% for banking sectors. Economic factors. Canada is one of the top 50 economies in the world. The economy of Canada is currently in a good state and the country registered growth of 6.7%. The unemployment in Canada is not expected to change much and maintain the level of 5.6% in 23 and 5.5% in 24, which is now 5.5% in 2022. The decline in growth rate and employment would have an impact on the revenues of the industry dealing in non-essential items like automobiles, housing, consumer electronics, etc. The rental rates have declined in Canada by 0.6%. This can lower the cost of operating businesses. Furthermore, industries such as automobiles and other industrial goods get impacted by the change in the interest rate as most of the customers finance the expensive products, and the Bank of Canada has announced its plan to raise the base rate by 0.5%, which would increase the cost of borrowing for the customers, and therefore industries would see a decline in the demand of goods. Social factors. The social culture of Canada is perfect amalgamation of various cultural dimensions. The trend of fitness and sustainability consumption is increasing in Canada. More than 1.4 million people in the country have shifted to plant-based meals. This means this can pose a threat to many industries like poultry, dairy, and the e-commerce businesses in Canada can witness a huge surge in business as more than 45% of people would prefer ordering the food online, whereas 59% of the people have started ordering more grocery and consumer goods through e-commerce platforms. In addition, the literacy rate in Canada is above 60%, and which is positive signs for the tech-enabled countries like IT solutions. Moreover, around 4 million employees in Canada are still working from home, and this trend would increase the demand for different gadgets, which would be beneficial for the electronic companies. The trend of purchasing residential properties in Canada has increased by a great margin, and this trend has led to a great increase in the price of properties. Hence, it can be a perfect chance for housing companies to increase their sales. Thus, the real estate sector is expected to experience high growth in Canada in coming years. Technological factors. As per CBC, the country's spending on R&D is almost 15.6 US million dollars. Hence, the government of Canada is keen on investing large sum of public money in R&D, which will enable greater efficiency across industries and greater scope for integration technologies. Canadian business can benefit from emerging technologies like data analytics, blockchain. These technologies also help the companies in knowing what product is currently in demand. This can help the companies accurately forecast the demand and reduce waste with effective management. Environmental factors. The Canadian government has passed a Net Zero Emission Accountability Act where it aims to have a carbon neutrality economy by 2050. This would have a significant impact on the industry that produce high emission. Also, the government is banning single-use plastic and the companies would have to use paper packaging which might increase the cost. Moreover, the federal government has announced a banning of all gasoline vehicles from 2035. Legal. Canada has the Competition Bureau that is responsible for enforcing the anti-competitive laws, packaging and labeling laws. The aim of the bureau is to protect consumers from unfair trade practices. According to Competition Act, the companies cannot indulge in agreement or merger to eliminate the competition, and the marketplace should function in a fair manner. According to Investment Canada Act, non-Canadians who acquire control of an existing Canadian business or who wish to establish a new unrelated Canadian business are subject to this act, and they must submit either a notification or an application for review. Mexico. Strength. According to recent World Investment Reports of UNC on trade and development, Mexico is one of the top developing nations in which to invest. Mexico participated in a total of 12 FTAs that encompass commercial relations with total 45 countries. To invest in Mexico is to access the ability to ship goods duty free to most of the world major markets. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development recently reported that higher education graduation rates for Mexican youth have steadily increased over the course of the last decades. Companies that make the move to invest in Mexico can have access to workforce of thousands of engineering graduates per year. In terms of availability of engineers, this number put Mexico at 8th place in the world. One of the most important industrial sector in Mexico is the production of passenger vehicles. Weaknesses. There are still many obstacles to invest in Mexico. The country relies heavily on its partnership with the US and it's therefore vulnerable to any change to the free trade agreement. Some sectors are reserved for Mexican state and or only for Mexican citizens. Very strong competition in certain sectors and economy vulnerable to fluctuation in the oil prices, infrastructure and a system of education that are generally deficient is ineffective. Opportunities. Mexico currently has 12 free trade agreements signed with 46 countries, 32 agreements for the reciprocal promotion and protection of investment with 33 countries, 9 limited scope agreements with the framework of the Latin American Integration Association. The key sector to invest are automotive, parts, machinery and equipment, etc. The banking sector is also growing rapidly and represents an opportunity for investors. The government, in seeking to attract further FDI, has communicated a desire to modernize the country's infrastructure, including hospital, transportation, investments opportunities in Mexico, abound among high growth industries and the strategic advantage of investing in the country. Threads. According to World Investment Report, Mexico ranked 10th place as FDI recipient among developing countries, but still there are some threats for the investors, which include rising inflation and slugging growth. These will be coupled with weakening of public finances. Other threats may involve the control over corruption is less as compared to the American and fiscal policy and security issues related to drug trafficking. The recommendations that I would like to give to my investors, having listened our after presentation, is that we are willing to provide different packages to our investors to give them better idea of investment. We can also organize a field trip and face to face interviews to clear any doubts, as we believe that we are the biggest economy in the world, having diverse and hard working for workforce. You can contact us anytime and can arrange a visit with us. Thank you for the opportunity to talk through the benefits of investing within the USMCA. We are very much hope that the information we have covered was entitled to come with the members, visit the members countries to explore your opinions in details, which is likely to show you around.